Make some noise for Ann McNamee-Keels's. Make some noise, y'all.
When I was 6 years old, I inadvertently created a problem for my dad, and that problem's name was Milo. Milo was a scraggly pale goldfish who had a morbid habit of flipping upside down when he fell asleep. And to me, he was perfect. I had won Milo in one of those carnival games where you throw the ping pong ball into the goldfish bowl, and my dad was not thrilled. He had nothing against fish. He had a real fear of my brother or I experiencing loss at an early age, and if there's one thing goldfish are known for, it is dying real quickly. So my dad did the thing that we used to have to do before Google, which is he went out into the world and talked to a human person. And the person he talked to was someone at a pet store who sold him this little bottle of solution that when we put it in Milo's bowl turned our fluoridated Chicago tap water into something more suitable for marine life. And that worked great. So fast forward to November 1993. I am 8 years old. It's a Saturday. Milo is still alive. But despite that, I'm having one of the worst days of my life because my family is moving to a new, bigger house 4 miles away, which means leaving my 2 best friends in the world, Mary and Shauna. I do have a saving grace, and that is Milo. See, my parents have decided that it might be a little tricky to take care of Milo for the next week while we're living out of boxes. So Mary's family has offered to take Milo for 1 week, which means in 1 week, I will for sure get to come back to the neighborhood, see Mary, probably Shauna. So this is great news. So Milo stays with Mary, my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and I move to the new house. Fast forward just 3 days later. And it turns out that moving day was not the worst day of my life, and this is the actual worst day of my life, and I wish for all of our sakes right now that this part had anything to do with a goldfish. But it doesn't. What happens 3 days after we move is that my dad goes to the Chicago Fire Academy where he's been training to be a firefighter for months, and there is an accident due to an equipment malfunction, and my dad is killed. And my world, which has already felt kind of shaky because of the move, just crumbles into a million pieces, and nobody is thinking about a goldfish. Though after the wake and funeral, I do get to see Milo pretty regularly because we kind of developed this routine on the weekends where I get up and ready, and then I wait to hear a car horn outside, and when I open the door, I see Mary and her mom in their gold minivan, and they whisk me away to their house for the whole day to eat popsicles and play in the basement and just have a sense of normalcy. And if Mary's mom is totally freaking out at keeping a goldfish alive for a kid who's just lost a parent, she doesn't tell me that. But a couple months in at one of these visits, she says, "Annie, I think it's time." So on that drive back to the house, I sit in the back of that minivan with a goldfish bowl on my lap, and when we get to the house, I put the bowl on the counter of a kitchen in a house that will never feel like a home. Fast forward 4 years, it's December 1997, I'm 12 years old, Milo is still alive. It is snowing hard. My mom says, "We have very little food in the house, and you're in charge. I'm going to the grocery store before the roads get any worse." So my mom leaves, my brother and I are watching TV, and I hear a noise coming from Milo's bowl. And I am concerned. You see, several weeks prior, my mom had told me something that happened while I was not home. She had heard a sound coming from Milo's bowl, and when she'd gone to investigate, she saw the thing I am seeing right now, which is that Milo has a piece of blue gravel from the bottom of his bowl stuck in his little fish mouth, and he is hitting his little fish face against the side of the bowl, frantically, I think. So now I remember what my mom said she did. This is a time before Google. So she got on the landline, and she called the first person she could think of, which was Shauna's mom, who is not a veterinarian or anything. She's just a teacher who's had a lot of pets. And my mom called, and Shauna's mom told her to do the thing that I am now about to do as a 12-year-old. So I stick my hand in that fish bowl. I scoop up this slimy fish. I hold him at the surface of the water, and I gently tap on his gill. And see, what happened in my mom's version of the story is that the gravel flew out of Milo's mouth, but what happens in my story is nothing. Milo still has gravel stuck in his mouth, so I try it again. I scoop and I tap and nothing happens. I get on the landline, I call Shauna's mom, I explain the situation, and scooping and tapping didn't work, and she says, "Give me 10 minutes, click." So I don't know what this means. I'm pacing around. I try this like fishy Heimlich again, nothing. And then the doorbell rings, and I go to the door, and I open it, and there is a snowstorm, and there's also Shauna and her mom dressed, bundled from head to toe. They walk in, take off their boots and gloves, and head straight to the fishbowl. Shauna pulls a carefully folded towel out of her pocket. She opens it up, and I see like various implements, like a tweezer and a chopstick. Suddenly, it's like we're in a scene from ER. I'm waiting for Shauna's mom to be like, scalpel. With the tweezers, Shauna's mom manages to pull the gravel out of Milo's mouth, and like 4 other pieces fly out, and he goes back to swimming happily. Milo is still alive. One more fast forward, last one, I promise. This time all the way to July 2013. I'm 27 years old, and I'm having one of the best days of my life because it is my wedding day. And I am thinking about so many things and people, and I will be honest with you, Milo the miracle fish is not one of them. He did live till I was a freshman in college. And at that point, we were just really impressed he'd lasted that long. I am thinking about my dad and wishing he was there on my wedding day. 2 people I am not wishing for are Mary and Shauna because they are there alongside me as my maid and matron of honor. And out in the crowd is my mom, Shauna's mom, Mary's mom. In the end, my dad could not protect me from grief and loss. None of us can do that for our kids as much as we really, really want to. But I had adults around me ready to take up the mantle, ready to climb proverbial mountains and drive through literal snowstorms to keep an ugly goldfish and a little bit of hope alive. And I think that is a beautiful thing. Thank you.